Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Emma, and we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition. We just got back to Haven from finishing out most of the hinterlands. So, we probably have quite a bit of catching up to do as far as talking to characters. But, we haven't been to the mission table in a really long time. So let's take care of that first, especially because I think there's something going on up near the temple itself. Yeah. Let's get this handled.
Your kind killed the most holy.
Lies. Your kind let her die.
Shut your mouth, mate!
Enough!
Knight Captain.
That is not my title. We are not Templars any longer. We are all part of the Inquisition.
And what does that mean exactly?
Back already, Chancellor. Haven't you done enough?
I'm curious, Commander, as to how your Inquisition and its herald will restore order as you've promised.
Of course you are. Back to your duties, all of you.
Okay. Now we gotta deal with Roderick. Thank you, Cullen, for keeping the peace.
Mages and Templars were already at war. Now they're blaming each other for the Divine's death.
As they're wont.
Which is why we require a proper authority to guide them back to order.
Who? You? Random clerics who weren't important enough to be at the conclave.
The Rebel Inquisition and its so-called Herald of Andraste? I think not.
I'm gonna do this every time I have the opportunity.
I don't believe I'm Andraste's herald any more than you do, Chancellor.
That laudable humility won't stop the Inquisition from using a misconception when it suits them.
The Inquisition claims only that we must close the breach or perish.
You say that now, Commander. We shall see if the sentiment remains true.
Remind me why you're allowing the Chancellor to stay.
Clearly, your Templar knows where to draw the line.
He's toothless. There's no point turning him into a martyr simply because he runs at the back. The Chancellor's a good indicator of what to expect in Val Royeaux, however.
That's fair.
How widespread is the violence between mages and Templars?
Impossible to say.
Your organization flouting the Chantry's authority will not help matters.
With the conclave destroyed, I imagine the war between mages and Templars is renewed with interest.
Initially, I was like, what? How the fuck would you not know? But for people who start their Dragon Age journey with Inquisition, it's kind of good context.
The mages and Templars are fighting, even though we don't know what really happened at the Temple of Sacred Ashes.
Exactly why all this should be left to a new divine. If you are innocent, the Chantry will establish it as
Oh my
so.
god.
Or we'll be happy to use someone as a scapegoat.
You think nobody cares about the truth? We all grieve Justinia's loss.
But you won't grieve if the Herald of Andraste is conveniently swept under a carpet.
I'll make sure they see reason in Val Royeaux.
I pray you're right.
Good. Positive exchange with Cullen. I know there are a lot of people that are like, Emma, you don't like Cullen. I don't like a lot of the things about Cullen, particularly the fact that he's a Templar, has participated in a regime that propagates slavery and bigotry. But that doesn't mean he can't do good things, too. I think that's a very common misconception. Okay, I'm not gonna stay for that chat dialogue. Is this the dungeon place? Have I been here? Yes. I want the room with Maeve, which I think is the next one down on the left. Oops, not yet.
Thank you for all that you are doing to help.
There we go. Yep.
Mistress Lavellan, do you have a moment?
I do. Let me turn in my research. One hot second.
That will help.
Is that everything? Okay.
Please tell me if you find something.
Hello? Can I help you with something?
Do I need anything else? Okay, there we go. I was wondering where the big string of
speak
stuff
with you
was.
later.
Maybe I just didn't have
Travel
as much
safely.
stuff as I thought I did. Okay. Yes, Josie, how may I help you? I'm pressing A.
Did you need something, Ambassador?
Yes. Well, not precisely, but I should like to know if anyone here has treated you unkindly, Herald, for being an elf.
Has anyone called me knife ears?
If they have, they've been stealthy.
Good. Please let me know if that changes. If we're to convince the world that Andraste's herald is an elf, the Inquisition must give you its utmost support. Stories of wild Dalish elves have grown even more outrageous as people learn of you.
But I don't want to be the herald. I'm not the herald. Let's not propagate that
How have
inaccuracy.
the rumors gotten worse?
I would prefer not to repeat them.
Give me something.
Stealing children, selling peasants to slavers, burning down villages, using infants for blood magic. Those are the stories about your fellow Dalish. I won't repeat what they've said about you.
That's so ironic considering that humans have done just that to elves for the most part. Sans the blood magic bit. That's a little extreme on any of perspective there. All right. I think the stories are dangerous. You know, it's very xenophobic. It's propagating a very hateful, harmful us versus them mindset.
The humans telling those tales are the first to take a knife to someone with pointed ears. My clans defended ourselves against them more times than I can count.
Really? I had no idea. I will do what I can to end this slander, Herald. It may help if I know more about how you and your clan lived.
Of course. Let's see. We don't want to shut off this means of ameliorating these rumors. So, what is our best approach? I mean, honestly, not so different from humans would probably be best from like a PR perspective to create a little bit of, hey, we're also living creatures who just try to get by every day. We love our kids. We love our spouses. We like food and not starving. That would be our wisest approach, but is that what I want? We don't necessarily want to go with the poorly, I always wanted more, because while that might engender some people to be more sympathetic, it might make others more spiteful. You know, good, I'm glad they're groveling where they're supposed to be. That kind of bullshit. I think this is the wisest option to choose.
The human towns we traded with ate the same food and suffered the same weather we did. The main difference was that they had homes, while we wandered.
That must have been difficult. Still, you must miss your clan.
I feel like she would miss them.
All my friends are there. Before I came to the Conclave, the clan was my whole world. I'd like to see them after everything is done.
I hope you get the chance. Whether you're with them or not, being the clan of the Herald of Andraste will mark them in history.
Josie, stop. Oof, I want to be snark, but yeah, we don't believe in that.
The Dalish still worship the gods of our ancestors. When they hear me called the Herald of Andraste, it may stir up anger.
They must see that you move in different circles now.
Josie.
The moment of understanding can be painful.
It's really hard when somebody places you at like the center, or at least on the dais of their religion as some, I don't know, person of worship at some degree. And you're like, yeah, I don't really subscribe to that. But people won't stop because they feel and they believe that this is so. And it's like, yo, You're completely disregarding everything I feel about this, and I really wish you would question your own worldview a little bit and realize that more than one religion exists. It's always a hard pill to swallow in the games. It's like everyone forgets that your Dalish Inquisitor's like, hi, hello, I have a completely different religion that I subscribe to. Ooh, got 2 perks. So I know that we talked about these at one point in time, but it's been a really fucking long time. I really like the ones that open up new dialogue options. I really like to talk, if you couldn't tell. And I like to continue that tendency in game. So let's see. Oh, I need 4 points in this category. Deft hands find tools is definitely something we want. Oh, cool. Okay, so I definitely, because we've got 2, let's get arcane knowledge. So how many do we have in here? We would need 1 more in here to get deft hands find tools anyways. Maybe we'll get more. Yeah, because I'd rather open up, I think it's connections. Yeah. I want to be able to talk more. I'm just checking to make sure that there's something else I want, really. But what about the underbelly one? There's an no, that's the one we did. What? I thought there was an underbelly one where we could talk. Am I just like... Oh, it's right here. I guess I assumed it would be in Liliana's repertoire, more so than Cullen's. Although, yeah, well, it would make more sense for his to have arcane, because as a Templar, they have to study that kind of shit, right? I'm assuming. Okay. I think I'd rather the other one. Especially because we're going to Val Royeaux. Okay. So we've got all those. Let's do some quests really quick. Ooh, I don't wanna. I don't want to do that quite yet. So there are just really not many quests on the map at all. We can open up so much stuff though. Should we go ahead? There's a lot of stuff we haven't taken care of. Let's make our rounds first. I.e. talk to everybody before we put ourselves onto the next phase of the narrative. I want to make sure that any chat dialogue that's available right now doesn't get skipped over. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you know exactly where I'm going right now.
Hello.
Ooh, I was like,
I'd be interested in hearing your opinions on elven culture.
I thought you would be more interested in sharing your opinions of elven culture.
Oh?
You are Dalish, are you not?
What's your problem with the Dalish? Allergic to Halla?
Oh, shit.
They are children acting out stories misheard and repeated wrongly 1,000 times.
Oh, but you know the truth, right?
While they pass on stories, mangling details, I walk the fade. I have seen things they have not.
Fine, you think we're terrible. What about the alienages full of elves who aren't Dalish?
Why? What would it benefit some poor man in a Ferelden alienage to learn that his ancestors strode the land like gods? It would only make him bitter, or inspire him to take a foolish risk and get himself killed.
You've decided his reaction for him.
Perhaps I have. If you have questions and believe the answers will help, ask.
That one's always a rocky conversation, because at the same time, like realistically, if someone come up to you and is snarky about your heritage and you're like, bro, what's your problem? And he continues to snark. I feel like most people would get defensive. I don't want to sit here and like god mod her and her, I guess, emotional maturity.
I'd like to know more about the elves from before our time.
The Dalish strive to remember Hallam Shiral. But Hallam Shiral was merely a fumbling attempt to recreate a forgotten land.
Arlathan.
Elvanan was the empire, and Arlathan its greatest city. Place of magic and beauty, lost to time.
You've studied ancient elves. What else do you know of Arlathan?
We hear stories of them living in trees, and imagine wooden ramps or Dalish Erebels. Imagine instead spires of crystal twining through the branches, palaces floating among the clouds. Imagine beings who lived forever, for whom magic was as natural as breathing. That is what was lost.
This is so hauntingly beautiful and melancholy.
Are all Dalish elves like my clan?
No. Your clan was unique in having enough interest in human affairs to send you to spy upon the Divine's meeting. As your clans have been separate for so long, they have all changed, adapting to the lands in which they live. Some are no more than bandits, others trade freely with humans, and some have disappeared entirely into the forests.
What can you tell me about elves living in human cities?
The culture in alienages or among the slaves of Tevinter is like any of the impoverished and powerless. They cling to memories of a better past, and practice a few rituals to distinguish themselves from humans.
Is elven magic different from the magic used by humans?
No and yes. Magic is magic, just as water is water, but it can be used in different ways. Dalish magic is more practical, not needing chantry approval, although they still frown on blood magic. Superstition. Much of it is more subtle. A legacy from when elves were immortal.
Oh, special.
The legends of elven immortality. Did they use magic to increase their lifespan?
No. It was simply part of being elven. The subtle beauty of their magic was the effect, not the cause of their nature. Some spells took years to cast. Echoes would linger for centuries, harmonizing with new magic in an unending symphony. It must have been beautiful.
You said that the censure against blood magic was a superstition.
I did. It's fortunate Cassandra is not within earshot. Most modern cultures forbid blood magic. Publicly, even Tevinter disapproves of it. But as I said, magic is magic. It matters only in how it is used.
How do I want to handle this? Clearly, if we want to please Solas, we click that I don't mind blood magic. Because it's my opinion of magic that resonates with his. It's just like a sword is a sword. Magic is a tool. It depends on how you use it. There's nothing innately evil about one or the other. You can use a sword to mass murder or protect somebody, right? But I'm also having to think of how the clans might have cast a light on, or a shade on blood magic. I feel like a lot of it is definitely frowned upon, I guess is the politest way to say that. But I want to believe that Lavellan is open-minded enough to be able to see the logic in Solas's reasoning.
To be honest, I don't see it as different from any other magic. It's a means to an end.
Indeed. The problem is that under the Chantry, blood magic is forbidden, so only criminals practice it. While in Tevinter, magisters compete with each other instead of keeping their volatile friends in check. They always succeed through power, so they have never had the chance to learn another way.
It's always lovely speaking with you, Solas.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye. Hello.
Okay. Oh, can I? Okay, I love you, bye. So let's go and talk to the rest of our friends.
Are we going to have new verses of the Chanted Blade?
Please stop calling me the Herald of Andraste, I swear to shit. Hello, friend. What's up?
Need something?
Ooh, I can't remember what we talked about.
I read your Tale of the Champion, and I have a few questions.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go ahead.
Oh, actually.
Carry on.
Need something?
The red lyrium we found at the temple seemed to upset you.
My brother Bertrand and I sort of discovered red lyrium during an expedition in the Deep Roads. We located an ancient thaig, so old it barely looked dwarven. There was this idol there made of it. Bertrand brought it back to the surface, and, well, everything's gone downhill from there.
So what is it? Just another kind of lyrium?
The red stuff is lyrium like a dragon is a lizard. It's not just a different color. It has a whole host of weirdness all its own. I've written to every mining cast house in Orzammar. No one's seen this stuff before or knows where it came from.
What makes it special?
Regular lyrium can mess you up pretty badly, but you have to ingest it for that to happen. Red lyrium messes with your mind when you're just near the stuff. You hear singing, get violent, paranoid, and then it does creepy shit. Makes things float, brings statues to life. It also turned Kirkwall's Knight Commander to lyrium. Everyone's been kept at least 100 paces from it since.
And wisely so.
How did the red lyrium get in the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I don't know. So as far as I knew, the only piece to make it to the surface was destroyed. And the location of the thaig it came from is a secret. Did someone find more of it in the Deep Roads? That's not a cheery thought.
Yeah, I guess I'd never really stopped to think about the origin of red lyrium.
I think that's enough on red lyrium.
Yeah, not really my favorite subject. Need something?
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Also inclined toward extravagant lies.
Okay, so that's all
Thanks,
the chat
Varric.
options we have for
No
him.
problem.
You're great, Varric. We should circle back. We talked to Josie. We need to talk to Liliana. And we need to talk to Cullen. Cullen first.
I did not see good speak only the word.
There's too many other
I
chants.
will keep the peace, while you and the others appeal to the Chantry in Val Royeaux.
Oh, is that it?
Better ready yourself for the blame. You will be rightly assigned.
Roderick, shut up. Shut your mouth. I don't think we have any softening stuff to do for Liliana.
Did you need something?
I think we've done all these already.
Anything I should know?
I've nothing to report at the moment.
Okay.
I'll leave you to your work.
So that just leaves Cassandra. Boop.
See if we can get that for yourself.
I don't think there's anyone else I'm missing. Oh, what is this? Andraste's Mabari. You know Andraste's old Mabari. He didn't show up in the chant. And if you ask those holy sisters, well, they'll say Andraste can't have had some big old smelly war dog. But all Ferelden knows it right. Our sweet lady needed someone who would warm her feet at night. And there's Andraste's Mabari by the holy prophet's side. In the fight against Tevinter, that dog would never hide. They say the Maker sent him special, always loyal without pride, so he could be the sworn companion of the Maker's holy bride. Oh, that dog he guards Andraste, without arrogance or fear, only asking of his mistress just to scratch behind the ears. And then old Mafrath gets to plotting, tries to lure that dog away. Even as they trap the prophet, her Mabari never strays. And there's Andraste's Mabari by the holy prophet's side. In the fight against Tevinter, that dog would never hide. They say the Maker sent him special, always loyal, without pride, so he could be the sworn companion of the Maker's holy bride. Oh, they thought the wounds had killed him, but then he limped out towards the fire, and Hesarian he shed a tear as that dog laid upon the pyre. And then the chorus repeats, oh yes, that Mabari is a companion of the Maker's holy bride. A popular, if historically unlikely, Ferelden Tavern song. I was about to say, that has to be a song if we're going to have a chorus that repeats.
One life, one death.
So much religious chanting. Alright. What do you have for us, Cass?
Do you need something?
Yes. Have we done all these? Does she not have something extra for us?
I have some more questions.
Why am I not surprised?
Oh, I don't want to ask her about her brother if she doesn't like that.
Greetings.
Can you tell me more about the Seekers?
The Seekers of Truth were born from the original Inquisition long ago, when it united with the Chantry. Seekers stood above the Templars, watching over them but also investigating magical events they couldn't handle. We were meant to be incorruptible, above reproach. How seldom does reality match the ideal?
Almost never. Did we go through these chat options already? I can't recall. Let's do them just in case, because I don't want to go to Val Royeaux and have this superseded by something else.
But what are Seekers exactly?
Those who know anything of us think we are Templars. We do not use lyrium, however. Our abilities are different, as was our original purpose. We disciplined the Templars and were accountable only to the Divine. And not even her, truthfully.
So nobody ever watched over the Seekers?
It was the Divine's duty, but she could only do so much when the truth was hidden from her. The Templars have always feared us. When a Seeker arrived at a circle, they knew trouble was afoot. That kind of power is troubling. You begin to think you are the only one who can solve the world's problems. If you don't see a problem, it doesn't exist. If someone insists it does, they are the blind ones.
This is a really good reminder of Lord Seeker Lambert. What was the book called? I'll insert it on the screen, but it was the one that kind of delves right before Kirk. Well, no, is it right after Kirkwall? I think it's right after Kirkwall. So when tensions are really high between mages and Templars, Reese and Evangeline. So a mage and a Templar, respectively. It was at the Val Royeaux circle. God, it's been so long since I read the book. Very good, though. Very, very good.
Do you think that kind of problem could ever be fixed?
Possibly. Though the Seekers themselves would need to change. They were clearly not willing to, even though they abandoned everything they stood for to avoid it. In my heart, I believe they can still be salvaged, but not by their own hands.
You mentioned that Seekers have different abilities than Templars.
Entirely. A Templar's abilities come from lyrium and are designed to hunt mages. Ours come from ritual and many years of dedicated training. We cannot be possessed by demons and are immune to mind control. Useful, considering our role. Seekers can gain other gifts, though that depends on the individual.
This is really important to remember. So squirrel that away in the back of your mind for later.
What kind of gifts do you have?
I can set the lyrium within a person's blood aflame. Both mages and Templars bend before my will. Some Seekers use it to interrogate, others simply to paralyze. Once there was a Seeker who could use it to kill. That particular gift is considered rare.
Hot damn, I don't remember that.
Why did your order turn against the Chantry?
We originally united with the Chantry through a treaty that stated they would keep mages under control. It was felt Most Holy had tacitly allowed the Circle of Magi to vote on its independence, thus breaking the treaty. The Seekers saw themselves as justified, and they led the Templars into a war of righteousness.
So Lord Seeker Lambert, I think, is at the forefront of that, if I remember correctly?
You sound like you disagree.
We knew what was happening at Kirkwall, where the Mage Rebellion began. We looked into reports of Knight Commander Meredith's harsh treatment of her charges years earlier. But we found so many shocking cases of magical corruption, it was decided her actions were justified. If we'd been there when it happened, if we'd looked harder at the root causes...
Yes!
Mages were oppressed. What else did you expect?
I expected us to do better.
There we go. Great
When
answer.
faced with a problem, the Seekers would close ranks and crush it. We would find an answer, but only once we felt we weren't being coerced. The moment the mages voted for independence, Our response was predictable. It was difficult to watch.
This is why I always really, really liked Cassandra. She might be set in her ways and have somewhat of a narrow worldview, but she's always open, and she's always self-aware and accountable. And it's like, with just a little push, we could get that going in the right direction. It's why I made her divine. And I'm saddened that those proclivities that she possesses weren't translated as much as I thought they should be into her actions as divine.
How does someone become a Seeker?
Most Seekers begin training in their youth. I was much older, an exception due to my noble birth. We train rigorously for years. Our bodies and minds must be elastic to undergo the vigil, and most fail even then.
Is the vigil some kind of initiation?
It is the rite every Seeker must go through in order to summon their gifts. A full year of fasting, prayer, and separation from all distractions, including other people. We empty ourselves of all emotion, focusing only on the purity of our devotion. And the moment it finally ends, it's wonderful. Faith realized. I cannot put it into words.
Was it some kind of magic?
I don't fully understand it, to be honest. If the vigil was not so arduous, I'd say more should attempt it. What if mages never needed to fear possession by demons? I'm told it is impossible, however. I suppose I'll never know the truth of it now.
I've no more questions.
Thank you, Cass. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us back into the war room, but I'm not going to take us to Val Royeaux. Now is the time if there's anything that you guys think that I missed, that I just didn't pick up on, I need to make sure and take care of before we leave for Val Royeaux. Now's the time to let me know. And if there are no objections, I'll just go ahead and start the next episode off in Val Royeaux. Does that sound reasonable? Because a part of why I enjoy this experience with y'all so much is because it is interactive. Like, I do listen to y'all, to your advice, to your guidance, and that makes us play through more of something we do together instead of just me, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, I still do what I want to do in the end, like, if you give me options, but if there's like, hey, you should probably do it this way for that, or oh, here's something else that you might have missed, like...
My scouts still comb the hills for clues about the explosion. I'll take what I can find.
Then I listen, right? Also, I think we have to back out of this to be able to save, so I'm going to put them back out. But that's why this is so much fun, because we get to do it together. Like, this is a hopefully mutually beneficial arrangement. All right, guys. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Quick update. I know I forgot to say something about the puppy, and you guys have been asking me, so we unfortunately didn't end up keeping the puppy. It didn't work out with the cats, and we had made our adoption contingent on that because we knew it might be an issue. One of my cats stopped grooming herself and drinking and eating, and hello. And our old boy, who is arthritic and diabetic, was too afraid to eat and was stressed out. And as you guys can assume, that's really not good for his blood sugar. So the diabetes was becoming an issue. So unfortunately, we couldn't keep the dog. It's sad. I just don't think our household's cut out for it, which is okay. It is what it is, right? So his name was Yuki, by the way, from Fruits Basket, and white in Japanese. I hope you have a good rest of your day.